Alright, good evening everyone. Welcome to another Feeling Thursday Battle Lounge with the 2MK team. Today I'm joined by Jasvine.
Hello!
And we are testing out Orochi Yashiro and possibly Orochi Shermie across many different players. As Jasvine is playing first, I'll probably be talking through this match and she'll pick up after. And our current player is also playing one Orochi Shermie, so even though you can't necessarily expect that I'll have a lot to talk about strategically right now, or even for most of it, we are still going to be talking at least a bit about some characters, their flows, and ways to understand and deal with them. We are facing the usual issue here. You can immediately see it of the I can attack you from all the way over here. That comes up so often in King of Fighters. But it doesn't necessarily mean that your defense has to be perfect, only that your understanding of how much damage you can take should be good. Shermie in particular is a character that you can just run at almost all of the time, because she's lost nearly everything that would make you not want to do that. She's also not terribly strong against jumps anymore. She can air to air, but it tends to not be so great, and her air buttons tend to mess her up more so than they mess you up. This isn't necessarily a reason for the character to play particularly defensively, but it's that she doesn't have to care about this because she doesn't take that much damage if you trade with her in the air. That does mean though that you have an approach vector if you want it. This is first to one knockout once again. Oh, and of course, as you can see here, characters who can cross the screen quickly in some other way tend to be good for this. Not necessarily because she can't punish, but again, you're minimizing damage here more so than you are specifically trying to beat her up a ton. For many reasons, she makes a usually better anchor character than point, as she's very good at combos, and once you are opened up, you are usually going to take a lot of damage, as you see demonstrated here. But our guest chooses to put her as point and push all the way through, probably to get more practice. If you would like to join into this lounge, it is our NA lounge, and that does in fact mean that we will be playing and should have good connections to everyone who is near the Atlantic Ocean, I think. Until later in the stream, of course, where everything will start to be weird, because it always is in King of Fighters lounges. So expect to see quite a lot of Orochi Yashiro today, in various forms, and apparently some Orochi Shermie as well.
So I've been messing with the concept of a, not necessarily unique to KOF, but it certainly comes up more often in KOF, the ability to whiff cancel things with a special. So during my match just now, I was testing all the things that I could either whiff cancel or cancel on block into specials, and I had the interesting realization that you could cancel his sweep, just like a lot of characters in this game, into a move that essentially like shoots you into the air and makes you have the ability to have like a follow-up attack. So it landed me to be sort of crossed up from Shermie, so that is a really an interesting thing that I'm curious if it has like some creative uses for. And there's a lot of like weird stuff in this particular version of the game like that. But as I was discussing earlier with Brilliant today while doing some of this testing on Yashiro, or not Yashiro, Yamazaki, she mentioned how like different her experience was compared to mine. Because of the characters I tend to play in like Street Fighter V and Guilty Gear, stuff like that. I tend to play characters that have less of the ability to like cancel from their heavier moves into something useful, especially crouching moves. They tend to be like slides or some sort of mobility move or some sort of like anti-air. While that's sort of true in some of the characters I play in this game as well, KOF just has a bit more freedom, quote-unquote, to, like, use everything and cancel anything. I'm sure there's some limitations, but I'm still learning them since while I do have experience with KOF 2000 and 2002, I'm not necessarily a veteran. I think that would be a weird thing to call myself. So yeah, I'm just getting used to a lot of different things, playing around with the freedom that KOF gives you, and using that to figure out a lot of tools that I didn't necessarily know. I was kind of prompted to do this by looking at the Dream Cancel wiki on Yamazaki because I had trouble figuring out what a specific move was for. One of his like on the ground only like damage addition things. Nothing too big, but you have to scroll through all the moves and stuff. So I found out a bunch of like weird information that just wouldn't really be apparent to me, but definitely would be more apparent to like a veteran KOF player. So that prompted me to do a lot more experimentation in training mode and get used to a bunch of stuff. And today I look forward to continuing that basically against actual people with Yashiro Orochi, which should be fun. Well, Orochi Yashiro. Anyway, when I was tinkering with him on day one, Yashiro, that is, Orochi Yashiro, I was figuring out that a lot of his tools kind of felt like M. Bison in a lot of ways. That soaring move that goes into like a follow-up attack in particular felt a lot like Head Stomp. And also kind of served similar ranges when I was doing my testing. It's not unblockable or like hard to anti-air by any means, but neither is Head Stomp in Bison, so I'm kind of used to that, and used to it being more about the mind games aspect of things. What? Didn't kill, huh? Okay.
All that Antonov health.
Gotta love them beefy boys. I was also messing around with Orochi Shermie a decent amount because she sort of interested me during the release trailer for the Team Orochi, and I didn't know at the time because again I'm not really a veteran, but apparently like the Orochi team like absorbed the abilities of a couple of the classic fighters, so I was like, oh, she basically has Benimaru's kit then? It's like, Brilliant had to tell me, yeah, that's like the lore. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But yeah, she has a lot of like really kind of more aggressive stuff than I'm used to, but like in a good way. The ability to zone and the way she is presents some interesting stuff that I'm looking forward to see more players mess with, since I'm not really familiar with her in other games.
Alright, we've got Angel in front, and that usually means a lot of trouble. For Geese, this isn't terrible, but it is a lot of making sure not to take a certain starter as damage, or you'll probably get deleted. But I don't think this player tends to... Oh, it's already flickering. That's terrible. There we go. And this is why she's the best point character in the game, basically. You shouldn't actually throw the double replicant in this matchup. But I think this player has got me thinking about a specific way that other people do things, and it doesn't work out that well.
She definitely has a lot of ways to pester you without using basically any meter. A lot of knowledge checks going on, but like, in the end, she's just kind of fast and has a lot of really good buttons. Honestly, if I were playing Orochi Yashiro right now, I'd probably be aggressive myself and just use his running tackle a lot. Not necessarily because it's the best idea, but more so because I want to like test the player a little bit more than I could do without doing that. I feel like I would end up blocking a lot otherwise. And blocking Angel's stuff, while required, is not necessarily the best thing to do right away.
Technically it is, but you're supposed to dash up and block her in that specific situation you just saw, and saw in the original flow from the Orochi Yashiro play. That's the idea. If you dash up to Angel, a lot of the time she doesn't know what exactly to do out of her potential starters. And as you saw from the amount of time it took for her to take out Orochi Yashiro, it slows down her damage potential a lot to have to care about that sort of thing. It puts her at bad positions for her general movement as well. But of course, if she has enough meter, and this is another thing that comes up for her a lot as a character, if she is even slightly off in position because of it, she tends to die. But you have to get so used to everything she does that I wouldn't necessarily recommend expecting you'll have any success or victory this way. Because she is very mobile, and dealing with that along with all the damage output she has can be really disheartening if you don't actually understand how to make her stop doing the damage. If you've got the idea and the spacings for the dash blocking, it's usually a lot easier to handle facing off with her, and it will give you some time to get used to and actually deal with the rest of her kit.
Yeah, it makes sense now that I think about it a little more, because she has such a way of controlling space, but if you take it back from her preemptively, it kind of ruins her first order strategy a little bit.
Get ready for a battle of titans!
I wonder if they'll be able to use Isla properly, given what we've seen so far. Hopefully we don't have any weird networking issues today. Seems it must have been on their end.
Worse than usual today, I guess.
I guess
But
so.
it did not entirely fall apart, so... Well then I guess I'll keep talking about the Angel concept for a bit longer, as we are currently working on Angel Bot. And pretty sure that that will not be the bot we release this week, because it is imperative that one understands not only how to block and hit Angel, and which options you can use to keep her from getting started, but also the precise spacing she puts you at, and the ones you need her to hit from, so that you can counter-attack quickly. And the bot is not quite at that level yet. It's mostly been poked at. We can get it to do all the correct things, but the rhythm is slightly off. What we do have ready is KyoBot that is now being repurposed into MaiBot because it's way better as Mai. Although it might be just that that is the variant I'm currently testing, and I now have to go test whether or not the other variants are just as good. Technically, this really more so means that we're releasing 3 bots at once, possibly 4, because our tests indicate that not only is the bot good enough as both Yashiro and Mai Shunui, it's definitely on par, if not better, than the KyoBot. And you can even get a little Billy Kane practice out of it, so we're probably going to come up with some crazy bot name that indicates all 3 of them, or just literally release all 3 at once with the variants options added on, so that you have more specific things you can focus on while only changing one aspect of it. We still haven't figured out the exact requirements relative to what makes the game change their bot system, what will cause it to not save properly, what will cause it to sometimes be erased. And so we're going to continue to try, especially since it only saves one anyway, we're going to continue to try to make sure all of the inputs are clean and easy enough to do just from scratch whenever you need them, but for at least the fact that you can use it more quickly, if you just want to get a couple rounds worth of practice before going off to do something else, you don't have to worry about inputting the bot. You just turn it on, assuming nothing broke it, it's still going to be there, do your practice, turn it off, expect it to be there when you return. The effectiveness of the bot and the testing that was done by our Angel player also ties into the factor from before with all of the whiffed normals into like being able to blow back, whiff cancel. These are things that you might not be familiar with if you weren't a KOF player before. And even in old KOF games, you couldn't necessarily whiff cancel as many moves, as I remember it, as you can now.
I was not prepared for that. Okay then.
So yes, we are far enough that you can definitely look forward to a relatively complex and in-depth discs guidance tomorrow. This matchup is similarly interesting because Angel doesn't have a real reason to let Orochi Yashiro get near, but this also means that the whole dash up and block thing is actually really effective, because she has some gaps in strings where it's really not a good idea to stop entirely, but how much danger she has put herself in is almost entirely how far your character can reach and how dangerous they are with whatever they reach with. In Orochi Yashiro's case, this is really dangerous because he can do a lot of things from that range, and many of them do not necessarily a lot of damage on their own, but give him a lot of optimal scenarios for things like control of position. I wouldn't call it like pressure on wake up, but specific things that he can do. And he does have better wake up pressure than many characters simply because he has a good command grab, let's call them mix-ups on wake up, that you can just use without worrying too much about them. One thing he often needs though is to use some meter just to guard cancel once she has control of the match. And this is often true when you see her approaching you like that, to just not be there because it's usually a setup. And since he doesn't have a quick way forward or over Athena's stuff that will not give her an advantage, it's usually better to let her come to you and make her think about the guard cancel so that she sometimes just waits or blocks, and that can leave you with more opportunities to just throw as punish instead. That's often the thing you're aiming for in these sorts of situations, to get your opponent to think too hard about all the options you have, even if you have to spend a decent amount of meter just to get them to think. This game is very volatile in terms of the amount of damage that characters can do, especially when they have enough meter and a good situation, so you don't really want to give your opponent too many chances to put pressure on you under their terms. And meter is not exactly really obvious, but if you're fighting against a player that feels like they're better than you, or even one who just currently has a lot of advantage on you, it's probably more so in your best interest, even if you think you could win the match with the meter if you got lucky, you're probably going to both learn more and be more effective long term if you use the meter to get the sort of advantage in understanding, rather than hoping that you get to use it and ending up with nothing. You can generally choose this by character. If a specific character is quite good at controlling the space, learn what their options are for it. And that might be enough to get you going back up on the meter front, because you must always remember, meter grows fairly quickly in this game. If you did use your meter to make your situation better, there's a good chance that you're getting at least half of it back.
for a battle of titans! Round 1, ready, go! Reach for the top. Ready, go! Nice Round 3, ready, Player 2 wins! Round 4, ready, go! Lightning pin! Watch this out! Watch him! Check it out! Watch him! Final round. Ready? Go! Watch him!
Anyway, the stuff I've been lapping all day today seems to have been paying off. My Yamazaki is much more in a place where he can pull some weight now.
Select members.
Also, that ability for Terry to confirm into I'm missing names.
Select order. Select
The blowback. Duh. From the blowback into Power Wave seemed pretty sus, but also, I mean, I'll take it as my character, so. I was definitely able to shut down things with it a little more, more than I was expecting to.
Are you ready?
round one. Ready? Go!
Also, the Yashiro versus Orochi Yashiro match was a lot more ridiculous than I thought it would be. They have some of the same normals, but their specials just, like, mix it up enough that it doesn't actually feel like a mirror style match at all. Even though what they're doing is technically fairly similar.
Reach for the top. Ready? Go!
Now that was some pretty well-spaced Yashiro specials. And made great use of the crouching C. D? Crouching D?
潰しても潰しても湧いてきやがる。嫌になるぜ、人間ってのはよ。Select members.
Let's roll!
叩き潰すぜ、何もかも。Before you arrive. Select order. 世界が俺に適応しとるわ。Select stage. Nothing will stop this show. Round one. Ready? Go! Burn to fight. Ready? Go!
This is a team comp I'm wondering if Omni Rabbit would be interested in at some point. Not because they would play Ralph, I think they would play with Clark instead, but Antonov and Meitenkun seem to fit Omni's playstyle fairly well. And that last spot in it is just kind of a little more fungible. Could probably just also keep Yashiro in there as well.
Round three. Ready? Go!
I wonder if Orochi Yashiro's blowback is going to be able to catch enough of Ralph's air stuff in order for this to be a little more tolerable.
Show no mercy.
Good whiff punish though.
Round four. Ready? Go! Keep moving. てめえより根性あるぜ。
Someone with Ralph Oki. I haven't seen someone with Ralph Oki in long. It looks like we get a little Orochi Chris to look at today, and one of the most interesting matchups probably in this entire game. Dolores versus Yamazaki. These two characters occupy so much, like, if you were to make a jigsaw, they would each occupy just perfectly. There's no overlap. They just don't do any of the same things when they're up against each other. All their ranges don't line up, all their abilities don't line up. Nothing they do is reactable to the other one basically at all. I don't even know sometimes what this matchup is supposed to look like. Because literally every time one of them thinks, I should do a move, the other one has an almost immediate counter to it. As you can see, this match has in fact been almost entirely normals. Because it's just not necessarily a good idea to use specials at all, I guess. But I can't be sure of that, I just have never seen it done.
Well, if I think through it a little bit, the counter Dolores has a ton of good options for, and the swing, while is not necessarily the Serpent's slash, while not necessarily something she has a lot of tools for, she also has a teleport and like a projectile, so it's not like she's hurt for options against it. But at the same time, all of her own specials wouldn't really help that much against Yamazaki. So yeah, I think the all-normal approach would be pretty... the way I would expect it.
This matchup isn't like that at all. These two characters often fight from the same spaces. Not so much Chris and Dolores, in fact you can use Chris to get through a lot of Dolores stuff, but Orochi Chris and Dolores fight from very similar spaces. And it therefore comes down mostly to who is bolder and has the better reactions. But because of that, as you can see here, though I have no doubt that both of these players can get good damage, and probably the lag is having some effect here, you can see that they're definitely defending their way through, poking their way into the correct positions and so on, but it's just not heavy damage very fast. Even with meter available, there's not a lot of options for positions to get into to throw that out and really get started. But now we have Orochi Rogal with 5 bars against 2.5 health bars worth of opposing character to deal with, and I have no predictions.
Well, we might see Dinosaur versus Omega Rugal, but...
Reach for the top. Ready? Go!
the lag might be a little too much, though. This looks pretty rough on this end. It doesn't seem to be preventing them from doing their specials, though, so it must be more of the choppy type than the stuttery type, which I personally prefer. perfectly spaced chip kill at the end there, though.
この戦い運命の女神はワイに微笑んでくれたようやな。
あんまり期待しないでね。
Select stage. Nothing will stop this show. Round one. Ready? Go! Now or never. Ready? Go! Player one wins. Round three. Ready? Go! Winner! 日の丸と弟子の期待を背負ってたら勝つしかねえだろ。Select members. order.
Maxima, huh? I haven't fought those in a while.
Get ready for a battle of titans!
Oh, it did load. Our last experience with Maxima players was kind of annoying, and the lag, as far as I can see it from this side, isn't going to be much better. But I'm not
this
actually
lag
sure.
is terrible.
Yeah.
No, it's just unplayable.
Unfortunate. Well, I was going to talk about the matchups, but you're really not going to get anything out of this. So,
Nope.
you can assume that this will continue in silence for probably a while. We might get one more match before the end of the stream. Or it might clear up. I mean, these things occasionally happen.
What a rude person.
And people will still, in fact, give it a try, you know.
Round 2. Ready, go! Now or never. Ready, go! Stop now! Winner! シミュレートではあんたの価値は万に一つもなかった。実際 Select members. Select order. Select stage. Get ready for a battle of titans! Ready? Go! You wins!
これが太鼓の力だ。
始めようか Stand your ground. Ready? Go! ライジン無理やライジン剣シェッライジン剣 No! ライジンPlayer 2 wins! See you next time! ザコがシャシャリ Round 3 Ready? Go!ライジン剣くれてやるライジン剣どけPlayer 1 wins! おいおい喧嘩売ったのはてめえだぜ見ておけ宇宙規模の戦いを Round 4 Ready? Go! Player 2 wins! ここからが伝説の始まりだFinal round! Ready? Go!
痛いぞ痛いぞ痛いぞ痛いぞほいなちょほや眠いけど
Alright then, and that looks like it was it, explosively. It is also the end of our stream for tonight. As noted, please join us tomorrow for Disguidance for our new bot, which is as yet unnamed, but you can expect it to be about Kyo and Mai for sure. And probably we can't guarantee Saturday's content, but you should be able to join us definitely on Sunday for Do Not Falter, our DNF dual battle lounges. Roll on around for Monday mishmashing in Street Fighter V if you have any interest in that game, and further on through the week, probably not having the Tuesday melt but we will probably also push for one of either the Tuesday Melt or Wednesday Night in Birth, bringing us back around to another Feeling Thursday. You can find all of our bots on our website 2-mk.org, and the new one will probably be released around 7:30 on Sunday, just before the beginning of our DNF Duel stream. But of course, if it isn't, for some reason, if it's delayed, if we are doing behind the scenes work, you'll be able to find all of this on our Twitter 2_MK_FGC. And if you don't see any tweets about streams in general by around 7:45 Eastern or Central European time, assume that we're not streaming for that day, for that content. But this has been Rillian for Team 2MK. Good luck with your training and good night, everyone.